We are no one. We are everyone. And we are invisible.
So this is Louis, and I don't want to front load this commentary too much, or else it'll be like 2 hours long, because we have quite a few political cartoons, which we're going to go through to get to. And they're by Matt Worker. This is his year in review, posted on Politico. With that, we're going to move to the first of these cartoons, which is the State of the Union. And this is illustrating the distrustful or perceived tense atmosphere that exists in the United States. Now, what I want to illustrate with this comic, as opposed to what Worker here is illustrating, is the fact that the news media profit from conflict. Because whenever there's a shooting, whenever there's a mass shooting, whenever there is a hate crime or a perceived hate crime or a fake hate crime, whenever there is any kind of conflict in society, the news media are the ones that make money, not through people supporting them on Subscribestar, it's through advertisement. So when there's a mass shooting and CNN is on scene and is broadcasting it for the next 2 days up until they move to another story, it's because an editor made that decision, and it's because they know that they're going to make a lot of money off of that story. So one of the things that I can't stand about the Fourth and Fifth Estate is while they point their finger at us and say that we're profiting off of conspiracies, hate, and all the rest of it, they are making money, hand over fist, to the tune of billions a year. Probably not much more than a few billion at this point, but they're still making at least a few billion a year off of advertising on stories about hate and war and conflict and the rest of it. While I'm trying to inform and also entertain you as a YouTuber, and you, if you believe enough in me and support me enough, if you're willing to go and support me on Subscribestar or through PayPal or whatever else, that, you know, the avenues that exist, if you're willing to support me, that's just because you're willing to do so at your own, you know, inclination. I'm not charging you. I'm not demanding money up front, and I make just about $0.00 off of advertisement. I'm not really compelling anything on you. It's all voluntary, and yet you still choose to support me. Whereas with these outlets, they are dependent on outside sources that they force upon you. So if you're watching news, they cut to commercial. If you're watching the Fifth Estate, they're going to have advertisements all over the fucking website. And maybe they have an advertisement in the middle of this slideshow. I'm not even sure. Maybe we'll find out. But the media thrives off of conflict, and always has. So while you can complain that America is, I mean, it's an exaggeration, but it is tense in the United States to some degree because of the radical departure of the left and the right in terms of what they want, and them being on mutually exclusive paths of what their end goal is, and the difference in values, one having some and the other having none, it seems. And you can figure out by the descriptions of those two which I actually mean is which. The mechanism for how we found ourselves here is, in many ways, the media. It is, in many ways, the media that brought us to this point. Because while the boomers and a lot of the Republicans really haven't changed all that much in the years, a lot of your average boomer Republican, how much has he really changed, if we're being honest? When you compare that to the utopian left, the internationalist left, the socialist left, who has really changed? And I think the answer's kind of just in front of you, because I've known a fair amount of Republicans in my lifetime. I know a fair few number of boomers, and the boomer Democrats are not on board with all this fucking race nonsense. They're not on board with the Gibbs and all the rest of it. The boomer union-style Democrats that I know, they're not on board with this shit. They're not internationalists. They're not elitists. They didn't come from some Ivy League college, and they're not worshiping, some internationalist fucking protectionist state as the model for the future. Most of them don't even understand what the fucking EU is. And I'm not trying to be insulting, but that's just a fact of the matter. I mean, most Americans probably couldn't even name you fucking one member of the Supreme Court. And you think they're going to be able to give you some kind of understanding of what the EU is and why they're for or against it?
Well, a vote's a vote, isn't it?
You think so? I want you to tell Mr. Thompson here what your thoughts are on the League of Nations.
I don't know what that is, sir.
That's your woman's vote.
I'm not trying to be insulting towards anyone's intelligence. I think that most people are not necessarily intelligent, but savvy enough to understand what's good for them or not. In large part, probably not with everything. I think immigration might be one of those issues where a lot of people are fucking stupid. And if you know my politics, you probably know which way by that I mean. However, when it comes to the average person, I think that the way in which we got here is not the average boomer Republican becoming radicalized. He's burning a cross in his lawn. I don't fucking think so. I think the problem is that the left has lurched so far to the left that they have now abandoned the path that they were formerly on with Republicans, where they're after the same goals, they just had different solutions on how to get there. Now it's like, well, fuck, opportunity. We want equal results. We want equal outcomes. That's the moral thing to do. And I don't give a damn how we get there. Unfortunately, you're no longer on the same path as your average boomer Republican. And that's not his fault, or her fault. Should recall that half of white women they lean or are willing to vote Republican. It's pretty evenly split among women.
Well, how do you feel about the Heritage Act?
Holiday?
Heritage allows banks to operate through subsidiaries.
Sorry, Commodore. I'm not versed in these matters.
That's your woman's vote.
Among white men, they're overwhelmingly, at this point, Republican or leaning Republican. But for everybody else, that's the issue. And the fact is that I don't think the media has done anything to help dissemble these brick walls that are portrayed in the image. A good metaphor is, I think the media are selling the bricks. So we can point to people building brick walls between each other. I think the news media are selling the bricks. Because how else do they make money? No one supports them. And that's why they're going out of business. The next photo is the Trump train going off the tracks and people looking to pull the emergency brake that is impeachment. This is just Trump derangement syndrome. I don't even feel the need to comment on the bow tie guy saying no, not yet, because everyone's looking in horror as Trump drives America off the fucking rails. Yeah, that's not happening. Trump's not the conductor. Trump is switching the track. I forget which position that would be for the railroad, but he is switching the track from one to another. We're about to head off the cliff of internationalist utopianism, but we've gone back to quasi-nationalism with a Democrat turned Republican. A New York Democrat turned fucking New York Republican who's abandoned the state and moved to Florida because the state is a fucking shithole run by a piece of shit despot. So, yeah, this is the guy who's running America off the rails and is about to become a fucking two-term president. Yeah. Some of these I'm just going to laugh at. This one is kind of curious because it's about Bob Mueller back when people were talking about Bob Mueller and the Russia investigation, when that was the thing earlier in the year. And it has Saint Bob, all-knowing, all-seeing, avenging angel of perfect justice, transcendence, and everlasting, with the Mueller report in hand, Saint Bob with Trump as the dragon, and the Democrat there is sweating, and he's looking down at his watch, and he, obviously thinking he's running out of time, and he's saying more candles. And weirdly enough, although this same author portrays Bob Mueller as, in fact, like it's weird, is this like self-deprecating humor, Mr. Worker? Because this is how you see Bob. Unironically, if we look on in future comics, this is how you see him. And, like, this is also you at the bottom of your own panel, sweating, looking at your watch, hoping that if you just prop this guy up enough with more candles and more presentation, that anything's going to change, that he's going to be able to slay Trump, when we all know, in hindsight, that this did not happen at all. And is Bob Mueller retired now? Isn't he done? What happened to him? Where'd he go? He's done. And so is his stupid report. Because they found absolutely nothing. And now there's currently an investigation into his investigation. Into how, Trump and his campaign and those that were around him were surveilled. There's now seemingly an investigation into that because it seems it was bullshit in how it was handled and how it was initiated. So I find this cartoon, honestly, to be confusing to me because if this was him criticizing how Democrats saw Mueller, it would make sense, but this is how he sees Mueller. The next cartoon, I think he means for this to be sad. And when I saw this, I laughed out loud for a solid minute. I'll read this to you. It says, in the past 15 years, 1,800 newspapers have turned off their lights by news item. And it has two reporters. One, it says, will the last reporter covering City Hall please turn out the lights? Democracy really does die in darkness. So after I was finished laughing, I was trying to decide whether I wanted to do that, basically a joke response where I show the, can you let me praise the Lord black guy dancing, and also playing, what is it, Thank You Next by, was it Ariana Grande? I was going to do that meme, and then I decided against it. I was like, you know what, I'll probably get copyright struck with that. So instead, I'll just laugh for like 15 seconds straight, and then I'll have Joker in the background turning into the Joker and laughing or smiling. I was going to do that. And then I said, you know what? This is actually something more serious. Because this is you unable to understand why people aren't buying your shit. Because the news media, news is a product. This is a product. You are a for-profit company that is failing to make a profit. And many are. So they are going out of business. They are closing down. They are downsizing. They are laying off people. And if they're unable to cut enough, they go out of business. If you had something worth selling that people wanted to buy, why would you be going out of business? That's the question that I have for you. That's the thing that I don't really understand. The thing I don't understand is if you have something worth buying, why are you all going out of business? Why aren't your viewers supporting you? Why not? There's people supporting me. There's, people making Sargon a fucking millionaire, even if he wants to bullshit about it. What is it about us versus you? What is it? What is it about us? People are going out of their way to voluntarily help us. You're dependent on advertisement. I have no advertisement but me asking you to support me. That's my advertisement. And people do. Why is it that people will go out of their way to follow Sargon from Patreon in principle, close their Patreon account, go to Subscribestar, and continue supporting him? Why? Why won't they do that for you? That's a question you should be asking yourselves. And it's because you don't represent anybody. That's the honest truth of it. You're inauthentic, you're liars, you're bullshitters, and all you support, all you believe in is two sides of the same coin. It's neoliberal left and the neocon right, or even just the neoliberal left and the neoliberal right. It's the internationalist uniparty, as Alex Jones would say. It is the internationalist party, where you have more in common with the internationalist party in the UK, and the internationalist party in France, and the internationalist party in Germany, and wherever in Europe. Wherever in the world, you have more in common with the internationalist party of the world than you do with the national party of the countries in which you apparently live. You are the internationalist class, the rootless, urban, cosmopolitan elite that are overly educated, arrogant, and hate the majority of the nation in which you live. You can claim that I'm wrong. Good luck continuing your business. I salute you. Good luck! Because I don't need it. A lot of people on YouTube, despite everything that has happened in the last few years, in many ways from the news media's, interference in terms of our business, despite their interference and the incompetence of Susan Wojcicki, who's busy running YouTube into the fucking ground. Despite everything, we are flourishing. We are thriving. We are that one old cartoon rabbit being thrown into the briar patch. We are just fine. We love it. But you, on the other hand, are collapsing, are dying, are drinking yourselves into an early grave. You're drinking yourself to cirrhosis because you're so worried that everything is crumbling around you. Why? Who put you in that position? Is it the shit white masses that you hate? The boomer Republican who's like, yeah, we need to lower immigration. That bigot? Or is it your detached and delusional arrogance? Your utopian shit politics? I think we all know that that's a rhetorical question. And we all know that you got where you are because of you. So, all these outlets going out of business, I do not care. Because this is you being humbled. And if anything's my God, that is my God. Is being humble and watching the arrogant be humbled. That's my religion. Get on board. Bob Mueller on a boat. He's landing all these random people. Manafort, Gates, Flynn. Several of which were probably surveilled in an illegal fashion. And have been brought up on crimes that are irrelevant to Trump whatsoever. Oh, and here's AG Barr. Ooh, he's cutting the line. He's cutting Mueller's line, even though the Mueller report had nothing. Had absolutely, and they're not even talking about Russian interference. Now it's obstruction. At least this time. It was obstruction, and then bribery, and then this and that, and now what is it? What's the charge? Abuse of office? That's one of two, total nonsense charges that Trump is being impeached on. It just pivot. We gotta find something. We hate this guy. He's gotta be responsible for something. So this is what I mean. The previous comment of Democrats worshiping Mueller. Bro, that's you, worker. That's you. That is you. Bob Mueller is just a member of the permanent bureaucracy. That's all he means to me. He's a guy that tried his best to put a positive spin on what is illegal surveillance of someone who is likely guilty of many things, but is not some Russian agent and is not doing anything as it relates to the government and obstruction and bribery, getting pissed on by Russian hookers in a hotel, under surveillance by Putin himself. He's in the room jerking off, filming Trump as it's happening, according to you and your pathetic intelligence community. This to me is in large part nothing but a joke, and Trump is guilty of nothing other than just what he's known to be. He is an exaggerator, a bullshitter. He is in many ways just a New Yorker. He exaggerates, he gloats, he brags. Who gives a fucking shit? He's using the presidency to enrich himself to some small yet legal capacity. Is that right? No. Is it something every fucking president does? Yes. Does that justify it in his case? No. But the fact is that legally you got fucking nothing to go on. While we are all, including me, I'm probably just as guilty because I haven't done a video on it. While we are all doing our best to cover up the incredible and just flagrant corruption of Joe Biden in the previous administration, Obama wasn't really Bush, but he was a devil in many ways in his own way. Not only is Joe Biden using his position as vice president to get his son no-show jobs in the Ukraine, which is something that I've only heard of from basically the fucking mob. Not only that, but using his position to cover up and prevent the investigation of his son for corruption, for that very corruption. And he brags about it on stage, in public. He brags about what he's done. And no one wants to cover that story. While that is in our face, plastered for everyone to see, in video, we're out here fishing for Trump and finding jack shit. And when that happens, we're seeing that MAGA cap Barr is the one that's preventing the catch. Bullshit. The next cartoon is a Republican voter, or maybe the Republican Party, who is being tested on principles, conscience, pangs, twinges, tingles, decency, ethics. And I assume one of those gauges is guilt. And the doctors are asking, well, the one is deceit, mendacity, disdain for the law, still nothing, and the other doctor says nothing, or scientist. And on the bottom, it shows you all the things, and it's like cheating on taxes. No, you got no evidence of that. Something I can't read. Lies about police? Lies about something. Lies about money? What? Lies about lies? What? I already said he's a bullshitter. Dude, he's from New York. Like, come on. Cheating with a porn star? That's true. He is an adulterer. Nepotism? That's probably true, but that's pretty much what every fucking elitist in this country is guilty of. Every elite is guilty of nepotism. Like, even the head of my mother's company is guilty of nepotism. Every rich person, when they're in a position of power, tries to get their kids, their nieces, their nephews, they try to get them jobs. They're all guilty of this. This is something that is extremely common among those that are somewhat wealthy or are wealthy and are in positions of power where they can use that position to benefit themselves and their family. And I'm not even going to say that, like, it's always immoral, it's always wrong, it's something you should never do, because sometimes it is something that works out. Because if you're a sole proprietor, if it's a private company, you're a father, you want your son to take over the position when you become too old, so you want him to be in the business, learn the business, because you're eventually just going to turn the keys over to him to run the business. So is that a nepotistic hire? Yes. But in long term, the goal is of the owner, if it is a private company, to turn the keys over to their child. And is that immoral? No. In many ways, that is moral, because it's a father wanting the child, or the son in this case, to follow in their footsteps and run this company after they're too old to run it themselves. You know, they don't want to sell off the company. They don't want to, give it to somebody that doesn't care. They wanted to give it to a family member to run. That's not immoral, even if it is nepotism. Annulments, which I had to look up what that fucking meant. I don't know what that means in this context. Misogyny, well, we're going to get to that in a second. Racism, no, wrong. Trump is not a fucking racist. The next cartoon is Joe Biden in an old Corvette, which the license plate, I think, is bad fucking dude, I think is what the license plate is supposed to mean. And he points to two miserable millennials and says, come on, kiddos, let's take a ride. And they are socialists. So the problem is that Joe Biden might be a lot of things. He's probably not a socialist. If he panders to socialist sentiments like, we need illegals to have state-mandated healthcare, it's probably just bullshit. It's probably just him pandering the Gibbs to get votes. I don't think he's ever going to do it if elected. But the problem is that I'm not really sure what is being illustrated in this cartoon. It might be a criticism of Joe Biden, that he's out of touch with the miserable millennials. But the fact of the matter is that the Green New Deal is just socialism. The author of it said as much, that it's not about the environment, it's about socialism. It's about command economy, controlling the economy, nationalizing entire industries. That's the point. And if Joe Biden's not on board with the Green New Deal, that's to his direct benefit politically. And if you consider it morally, to his credit. You know, if you're not a socialist, congratulations. You're possibly a moral person. But if you are a socialist, chances are you're not. The next cartoon, which this too had me laughing for a solid 30 seconds. So this is Mitch McConnell and his wife, Elaine Chao. And they're sitting in an aristocratic home, and I'm sure he does live in some kind of mansion. He says, "Whose bread are we buttering today, dear?" And what this is a criticism not of really of Mitch McConnell. It is actually a criticism of Elaine Chao. Because if you read the Times newspaper, it says, "Sweetheart deal between China and Chao Company." So that is Chao, in this instance, being like a Chinese loyalist. That is the criticism of Elaine Chao. That is the criticism of this cartoon. It's of Elaine Chao. It's not really Mitch McConnell. It is of Elaine Chao. And what's funny to me about this is the first time ever that a member of the elite Journo class has ever criticized someone who's Chinese. The first fucking time. And I'm pretty sure it's just because that she's a Republican. I'm pretty sure that's the singular reason that any member of the Journo class has found a reason to criticize China. Because if they won't criticize China as they're fucking, like, throwing Muslims into the fucking meat grinder, if they're not going to criticize that, then the only way in which that I can understand this is because she's a Republican. That's the only way. So that's why I laughed. So we'll move on. Uncle Sam looking at America, or maybe just politics. And it's up in the corner is normal, where he's looking, but we're at the bottom. And we're going to name all the things on this directory here that Uncle Sam is reading. Bigotry always existed and will always exist. Hey, Mr. Worker, do you want to talk about the blacks that are beating up Jews in New York City and in New Jersey as well? Do you want to talk about that bigotry? No, you don't. You want to say fuck Whitey. That's all you want to do here. Hate. Come on. As though the left is in any way less hateful than the right at this point. Arrogance, which everyone is guilty of. Bullying, which fight your bullies, don't be a pussy. Ignorance, which everyone is ignorant to some degree. Bullshit, everyone's a bullshitter, including you. Gaslighting, you're probably not using the word in the way that you mean it. Lying, everyone lies. Xenophobia, yes, there's not enough currently, in my opinion, to really drive the politics that I want to see, because we have no policy in the direction that I want, other than small things. So yeah, restart the Native American Party, and let's get it done. I would make Trump look like Jimmy Carter. Megalomania, it's true for every fucking politician. Nepotism, just scroll back in this commentary. Racism, spare me. Rage, everyone's guilty of, especially on the left. Tweeting, what? Boop, which, yes, I'm not a fan of Betty Boop. You don't know what it is. You see the "you are here blocking it" ism. Just guess what it is. Guess what you're being called. Guess what Trump is being called. Ism. You don't know what it is yet. What is it? Just guess. It's probably white supremacism, because that's currently not listed here. So I'm going to guess that that's what that ism is that's being blocked. It's white supremacism, of which, you know, it's such a joke. But what I want to talk about is trolling, which I support, misogyny, and sexism. This, to me, is one of the things that I can't stand about modern politics, because sexism and misogyny can be fucking anything. It seems as though that a certain percentage of women in politics, and you, Matt Worker, is possibly a male feminist, you perceive any slight against a woman as being some form of systemic, you know, whatever the AIU line is, of bigotry against women. When my argument is that women are the most privileged class, Western women I should say, are the most privileged class in world history. I think the evidence points to that. I don't think the evidence points to the opposite of that. I think that no one gives a fuck how I feel, what my feelings are, what slights that I have that I don't like, what neuroticism that I need you to be comfortable regarding. No one gives a fuck how I feel, what I think about fucking anything at all. And the reason is, you could say because I'm white. I don't think it is. I think it's because I'm a man. I think that my sacrifice and my silent misery is something that is expected of me. And I want to be clear in that I don't want to be perceived as playing my own violin, so to say. Like, I'm not playing a sad tune for myself. I'm just saying that as a man, this is how I perceive it. That women are treated with deference. Maybe not in every single instance in every single woman, but generally speaking, yeah, they are. They're treated with deference. While everyone's screaming at the top of their lungs about equality, they are treated with deference. And in some ways, I'm not opposed to women being treated with deference. But what I can't stand is us lying about it, screaming about equality when it's a lie. When that's not what anyone's fighting for, really. I could be in some way fighting for equality because I think men and women should be treated equal and should be treated fair, especially by the state. But, I mean, that's kind of a joke at this point. Is that really going to happen? Who's going to fucking do it? Republicans, Democrats? Who's going to do it? You have fedora tippers of the highest caliber on both sides. Who's going to be willing to face the tidal wave of criticism for treating women equally to men? Who? Who's going to have the balls to do that? No one that I can see. No matter what you say about Trump as well, Trump is still a fedora tipper. He's still a boomer. He might be an adulterer and a philanderer and a womanizer in some way, but he's still a fedora tipper when push comes to shove. He's not going to be passing any fucking legislation to, challenge the status quo of family courts and whatever else, challenge the status quo of how men are treated in general, of how basically the government itself categorizes things, who's being pursued. Oh, we need all the public subsidies that we can have to get women into fucking everything. We need all the government encouraging everything that we can, from the White House in the last term to the White House now, of, oh, we're treating women poorly. Oh, women are being harassed and sexualized. We need more subsidies towards gaming to push propaganda in games. We need to meet on this so that women can do this and that. Like, no one is going to do the opposite for men. No one. No one's going to do that. No one's going to do that kind of activism for men. No one. Zero. No one. No one in politics currently. So when people say misogyny and sexism, I find that to be a joke. Because what misogyny and sexism are inconvenient truths that women don't want to hear, such as the wall and so on, or the mildest slights against women. That is misogyny and sexism. What once existed in America were it was the boys' club and we're slapping women's asses and all this fucking fictional nonsense that likely, if it ever existed, it was just boorish men that still exist and are currently running for president on the Democratic ticket. The only sexist and misogynist that anyone among the Journo class has a problem with are those that have a fucking R after their name. Because when it came to certain Hollywood elites, that was a story that was buried multiple times. When it came to Epstein, that was a story that was buried multiple times. And like I say, maybe I'm going too far to say it's an R after the name, but it's anyone who's not an internationalist. Like, if you're an internationalist, the media will cover for you. They will bury stories. They will kill stories. They will go out of their way to play the role of your professional representation. They will wash your reputation for you. That is the role the Journo class plays so long as you are among the club of the internationalist elite. So the next cartoon is of Secretary Mnuchin for the U.S. Treasury. And what I find funny about this cartoon, which is Secretary Mnuchin warns Congress that we'll need to raise the debt ceiling early this year, and it's because you refuse to cut the gibs. That is ultimately, like, even Trump has done some gibs. You know, you can say he's guilty of it, but it's the Gibbs. That is what you need to cut. And he says, goodness gracious, where did the money go? And you have a wrecking ball that says Trump tax cuts, breaking the wall of the U.S. Treasury, and monopoly men, millionaires running out with bags of money. So this is the opposite of reality. While I don't like very wealthy people, like the internationalist elite, the financiers, the capitalist class, not the guy down the road from me, that owns a landscaping business, or my neighbor who is a landlord. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the rootless elite cosmopolitan, even some cases like, Trump. But the billionaire capitalist class that lives everywhere, can afford to live everywhere, and their politics is defined by internationalism, I do not like them, because I think their interests are mutually exclusive to mine. But, even if we want to say that 100% of the Trump tax cuts went to the capitalist class, went to the top 1% of the country in terms of income, hey, there's a question there. Top 1% of income tax. Income tax is the number one revenue source for the government. Oh, wait a minute. These rich people aren't robbing the fucking treasury. The treasury is robbing them less. That is a tax cut. It's not the millionaires getting money from the government. It's the government taking less of their income. I don't really need to go down the road of, oh man, taxation is theft, but this cartoon is the inverse of reality. And this to me speaks to like a very dangerous thought process of the cartoonist, if this is legitimately what he believes. And I'm not saying that just for the sake of saying it. I'm not saying this just to, malign him. It's dangerous to think that the government owns your income. It owns your money and your property, and it's just lending it back to you by giving you a tax cut. That's a dangerous way to think. I mean, that is a totalitarian mindset if I could ever identify it. There it is. I think that the U.S. Treasury should tax the income of everyone to a certain degree to pay for whatever federal works we require, but we should not perceive the income of the rich to just be the government's money that they've lent back. That's utterly ridiculous, false, and dangerous to think. The next cartoon is of the Democratic primary, and I won't bother, identifying everyone who I can identify, because I can't actually identify everyone there. If they were going to really say that anyone's like a shit stirrer or a fire starter, it would definitely be Tulsi, but she's not even on here. I don't see her. I mean, half these people spend most of their time agreeing with one another or basically trying to outrace each other to the left. And so you have the Democrats who are either the hosts or the party organizers that are saying, I was really hoping that after 2 debates, a true frontrunner would catch fire. And I guess, I mean, I'm trying to understand if this is like a fair criticism, but I'm not really sure what you would want them to do instead. What would you rather them do in the debates? Because I've barely watched the debates. I've watched snippets and that sort of thing, but I've barely watched the debates because they've just been snooze fests. They say a ton of shit that I don't agree with, and it's just everyone on the fucking stage. Everyone on the stage. Give. Well, I'll give. Well, you'll give. Oh, I'll give. Well, I'll give more. Give. And it's just like, I'm so done with it. I'm so done. It is, to me, the least interesting part of the Democratic Party. Like, let's talk about how much you hate white people. I'd rather hear that. I'd rather hear you talk about how much you want to, how much you hate the majority demographic of the nation. Let's talk about that. Stop with the fucking Gibbs. I've had enough of the Gibbs. You want to buy votes. I fucking get it. Gib from someone else's money. That's fucking fantastic. Just enough. The mental illness most responsible for gun violence in America seem to have something in common. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Vertality compensation syndrome, uncontrollable need to brandish big guns. No. False. Assault rifle complex. Self-worth measured solely by the number of assault weapons. False. Most responsible for gun violence. I wonder who makes up the heavy fucking majority of statistics around mass shootings and gun crime. I wonder who. I wonder if it's 3 white men with fucking insecurity problems. The third one, ammo maniacs, bullet obsessive disorder. Oh, I'm sure. It's middle-class white gun enthusiasts. They're running around America killing people. Yeah, fucking right. Mr. Worker. Hey, Mr. Worker, do you want to get in a live stream with me and you can go through the New York City crime statistics from this year or last year? Do you want to go through those crime statistics to find out who's responsible for the most mass shootings in New York City? You want to? How about Chicago? How about those numbers? I guarantee they're worse than fucking New York. Want to go through those? Or how about Baltimore? Want to go through those numbers? How about some hate crime statistics from New York City? Who's getting hate crimes committed against them? By who? How about Jersey City as an example? How about that? So you pick your fucking metric of crime, and let's you and I go through those fucking numbers. Fucking, yeah, it's the gun enthusiasts. They're the ones committing the fucking crime. And here we go with Bob Mueller again. Bob Mueller as a literal Boy Scout saying, all done and completely by the book. I can't say more. That would be political and might inflame things as, once again, MAGA cap Barr, the Attorney General, burning down the Department of Justice and half of Washington, and Trump in the background as literally Godzilla burning down all of Washington. Mueller is a member of the permanent bureaucracy who helped cover up illegal surveillance on U.S. citizens in the pursuit of false allegations against the president for the sake of trying to prevent him from gaining the office after he defeated Hillary. And Bob Mueller was the person put in place to cover all of that up. Suck his dick all you want. He is a cynical actor. He is the one responsible for trying to get this past all of us when it was illegal surveillance. The Saudi drone with Donald Trump as a drone that says rent me on it with locked and loaded. So the problem is with this is that you could put Trump in this place and it would be true. You could put Obama in this place and it would be true. You could put Bush in this place and it would definitely be true based on a certain Senate report that's continued to be buried linking Saudi government to 9/11. You could put, name the last president where this wouldn't be true for every single one. For their entire administration. Name the presidency. Name it. Again, it doesn't excuse Trump, but this is true of every president. And if you were to be fair, Trump is the new model, Obama is the old model, and like Bush is the even older model in the garbage. There's a fair comic for you. Oh, Jesus, here's a wall of text. The greatest transactional president ever demonstrates the many nuances of quid pro quo. Oh my God. Quid pro dough. Thanks, your chicness. 100 nights at Trump Hotel ought to do it. I mean, yes and no, really. Quid pro faux. That Russia, if you're listening thing, it was just a joke. Yeah, it literally was a joke. Quid pro escrow. That's it, Prime Minister. Build that Trump Tower and you're golden. Okay, I'm not even sure what you're citing with that. What Trump Tower? What are you talking about? Quid pro Moscow. Vlad, I love to ease sanctions for you. Got any more stolen emails? Again, that's in reference to a joke. And what does it matter? He already fucking blew Hillary the fuck out. So what does it matter at this point? And he doesn't need the Russians to defeat fucking Joe Biden, let me tell you. Quid pro Romeo. That's right, babe. $100,000 in cash and you stay mum. Well, that's true. That appears to be true. But Congress has an entire discretionary fund that is just for hush money. So you're going to have to excuse me if I'm not going to jump down Trump's throat for spending his own fucking money to tell some thought he fucked to shut up. She accepted the money, by the way, because she's a whore. And she did it anyways. She didn't follow through. She broke the contract. She went around telling everyone, yeah, I fucked Trump. Really? Like, what do I give a shit? He's an adulterer. Wow, I'm sure he's the only fucking president where that's true. Quid pro Joe. No dirt on Biden, no military aid. It's that simple. No, I'm sorry. That sounds closer to what fucking Joe Biden said about protecting his son from a corruption investigation. From, when it came to his no-show job in the fucking Ukraine. I'm pretty sure if you have a problem with this in principle, the greater problem you should have is with fucking Biden bragging that he did this. U.S. foreign policy, where it's Trump tweeting, he's an organ grinder, and at the end of his chain is the former mayor of New York, whose name escapes me, as a monkey, who's angry, waving a tambourine, wearing a monkey fez, and dangling a cup full of money. Maybe this is just too old for me to get the reference. Like, what is this supposed to mean? Trump is tweeting. Okay, Trump tweets. He's an organ grinder. Okay. The former mayor of New York's a monkey. And he has a cup of money, and somehow this relates to fucking U.S. foreign policy. I don't get what this means. I don't recall what I think this machine is supposed to be. Like, it's this circular thing that is referenced in that one visual novel. Is that what it's supposed to be? I forget what it's called. You know how we used to say a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth even gets its pants on? And it, mendacity meter, 100 times around the world, and it's Facebook. So censorship, that's the issue here. We need to censor Facebook. I wonder who's going to get censored. I wonder who. I wonder if they have R's after their names. Oh, man. We're on our soapbox, and we are just better than all of you. We are the definitive fourth estate. We are the industry written into the Constitution erroneously by the Founding Fathers. We're so great. We're so mighty. We're protected by the First Amendment. Therefore, we want to take away your protections because we want to be the gatekeepers of society. We want to tell you what's true and what's false. We want to dictate the truth. And if you're out there giving your own opinion, well, we want to fucking censor you. Great political ad, you fucking hack. I cannot wait. I'm going to send this to you if I recall this. Somebody tweet this to me if this happens. If Matt Worker loses his job at Politico and he's out on the street in the gutter, let me know and I'm going to tweet this at him. Climate change is a hoax. Fossilfuelsforever.org. And you have, I assume, a California forest in the background burning down. So this is what's called a non sequitur. Forest burning down is an annual occurrence. Whether it's California or it's the Amazon, the times where it's not being lit by fucking activists for the sake of having something to virtue signal about on Twitter, this is not climate change. A forest burning down is a natural occurrence. It would burn down even if you had just square by square inch mandated government fucking surveillance of the forest. If you had every day of the week someone covering every square foot of the fucking forest, it would still find a way to fucking burn down. Because that is just nature. Forests burn down and then they grow back. What climate change really is a cult, an environmentalist cult that has only grown worse as time has gone on and is not supported by science, is not supported by facts. It is supported by religious fanaticism. This is boring. And unfortunately, with green energy, without billions and billions and billions of government support, the industry doesn't exist because there is no support for it. It's not economically viable. There is no market for it. And it is not efficient at all, period. So you can claim whatever you want to about all the carbon in the atmosphere that is mainly to do with China. I know that the United States is a contributor, but there are alternatives that you can advocate for that don't involve taxpayer dollars being flushed down the fucking toilet. Under Obama, this was supported to the nth degree, and since his leaving of office, it's just collapsed in on itself. It's just now moved to state support instead. Without government support, the green energy, solar, wind, does not exist. And it is because it cannot produce what is necessary to fuel a society. It cannot produce what's required. It is an artificial industry that would not exist without government support. Ukraine, it's like, yeah, what if it were that Trump was trying to get Don Jr. a no-show job in Ukraine? Maybe that's what's happening in Ukraine. Trump is trying to get him a no-show. Is trying to get his son a no-show job. Manafort, just whatever. Just whatever. What even was it? Money laundering from fucking a decade and a half ago and then lying to the FBI. Wow, you got him. You got him. 1973, America tunes into the Nixon impeachment hearings, and there is something to say that was overblown. That was the news media basically axing a president who did do, something bad, but was it a high crime? Is it something that he could have actually been impeached on? I don't know. So was that the media basically forcing a president from office? Yeah. That was the first time, and it's likely going to be the only time. In 2019, America, get off your smartphones. Listen! We're the media. Listen! Listen to us! Listen to us! We're trying to tell you, get Trump out of office. Listen! We're the gatekeepers! No one cares! No one cares about your bullshit hearings. Oh, man. Trump is on his way to 2 terms. 2 terms. Oh, man. I just love that again. It's just like, oh, America! Oh, I hate you, America! Oh, you fucking whiteys, you're not listening! You're not listening to us. We're the gatekeepers! We tell you what the truth is! Ah! Why don't you listen? Oh, you're so pathetic. No one buys your shit anymore. The issue is that, like you say about Facebook, oh, they're spreading lies. So are you. So are you. You're covering up lies and you're printing lies. That is the media. You're no better than anyone you fucking criticize, and in many ways, you're so much worse. Oh my God. It's Trump on a bunch of newspapers. Some in Congress hope impeachment will at least shame the president into being better behaved. But is that the point of fucking impeachment? I don't like Trump's behavior. What is this crime, you stupid faggot? What is this crime? That's the fucking point of impeachment. Holy shit.
Hallelujah. Holy shit. Where's the Tylenol?
You're the serious ones. You're the fucking professionals. Oh, you're so well educated and elite, and listen to me at my soiree, sipping champagne, complaining about Trump's tweets. Jesus fucking Christ! On Christmas! What is fucking wrong with you? I'm not even gonna read the newspapers. I'm not even gonna read the newspapers. Fuck it. So this is the last one. The demo derby rounds the bend. And this is, again, apparently a criticism of the primaries of debate nomination White House. I'm the unifier, you old pinko. Who is that? Who the fuck is that in the background? I'm the one who can bring our party together. I assume that's supposed to be Joe Biden. We must come together to beat Trump. Behind my revolution, that's Bernie. Out of my way, you political has-beens. I don't know who that is. Move over, Grandma. I assume that's Buttigieg. Not yet, kiddo. Can't we all get along behind me? I assume that's Biden again. Is that Tulsi in the background there? I assume that's Tulsi. The problem is that she's not like a smoking hot fox in a white pantsuit. That's the issue. I disagree with the presentation. Who's the blonde? Who's the blonde with the big nose? Who's that? Who's that supposed to be? I know the other woman with the stupid hair is Klobuchar. And there's Beto in the background. Who the fuck is the blonde? I'm not even sure what's being said in this cartoon. Like, they're arguing. I have no comment, I guess. Like, it's not even a commentary. Like, it's them sparring to some degree, but the guy with the soul patch saying, "I'm the unifier, you old pinko." Who the fuck is that? Who is that? Who has a soul patch that's running for president in the Democratic ticket? Unless it's like a shadow of a chin or something. Like, who the fuck is that? Yeah, I don't know what the commentary is in this, outside of the Democrats squabbling in an empty fashion. You know, it should be, if I want to make this a better comic, it would be Trump already at the end laughing. It would be Trump on like a golden throne, like a golden chariot he's being carried to the White House. No, it would be them carrying Trump to the White House. That's what it would be. It would be them all bickering, complaining, while they're all carrying Trump's golden throne to the White House for him. That would be a good comic. But I will leave it there. I know this has already gone on for a long time. Yeah, this is probably going to be a fucking hour long. Fuck me. I didn't mean that to be the case. Because now I got to edit this motherfucker. Anyways, I'll leave it there. I hope you appreciate this video. Appreciate how fucking long it's going to take me to edit this goddamn thing. And we'll see how much, content you get in the future. All right? Thanks for listening.